Well, there's an old saying in this business: it don't get much tougher than this. Okay, these markets are so inconsistent and so lack any real activity that it's unbelievable what's going on. But that's part of trading, and if you're trying to be active, this is not a market to be active. This is a market to be passive. Okay, everything else we do is fine. It's long term, but we must get into a trend very much like the notes and the bonds. Okay, but the rest of the stuff, other than a couple of things, I mean, if you look around, what do you see? You see consolidating markets, except for natural gas. Boom. Okay, except for the grain markets. Okay, except for even crude has become a little bit more challenging, but it's still pretty solid. Came right down to support and bounced. Again, this is part of trading. This is the decisions. If you're trying, again, this is if you're trying to be a day trader, it's very challenging. I spent most of my day by the pool today. Okay, because I'm not going to sit here and watch this. This is pain. There's no volume. We don't normally talk volume, but the last few weeks, it is becoming an issue. Okay, that has to be addressed. I mean, last week, I believe that the S&P didn't make 1 million on Monday. Today, it's not going to make 900,000, which normally trades over 2 million. Okay, and on a busy day, 4 to 5 million. Okay, we're at 868,000 right now. Okay, this is why you see these swings back and forth in the market, and you see blow-offs on volume that would normally be normal everyday volume. Okay, that is now it's sticking out because of the lack of activity. Okay, and this is something that, again, look at the bond markets. I mean, the bonds, it's pathetic what's going on here. Okay, now again, it doesn't matter. This is the market we have, but from a day trading perspective, sometimes it's better not to make a trade. Sometimes it's better to sit on the sidelines and watch it. Okay, because again, you're trading a much shorter time frame, and until we see some action and some consistency, okay, with some volume, I mean, look, this is pathetic. Even the crude oil is way down, okay, from where it's been. Okay, I mean, again, I don't think there's one product that has any volume right now. Okay, maybe natural gas. I don't look that much at that, but yeah, I mean, it's within reason. But basically, you've got a market that moves. It takes a much smaller order to move the markets a lot farther, a lot longer. Okay, now eventually it will find a direction, very much like natural gas did, or the bonds did. Okay, but in the meantime, the torment and torture you go through waiting for it, again, this goes more on a relationship to day trading. Okay, and this consolidation action is brutal. Okay, it is as bad as it gets. Okay, from an active trading standpoint. And what can I tell you? I mean, that is, as they say, life in the big city. Okay, but I think, again, this to me has all the makings of a disaster coming. Okay, there's no doubt that we could see a significant beatdown on this market. Okay, now we did, once again, we tried to break below and held this bottom line of support in the S&P. Okay, as well as a couple of the others. And for the first day in a bunch, the S&P was stronger than the Dow, which is, again, that's more bullish than bearish. It's not a great indicator, but it's certainly a reasonable indicator that when markets are trending higher, the S&P will outperform the Dow. And typically when markets are trending lower, the Dow will outperform. Okay. So, but, overall, Hold on one second. Hold on one second for you. Anyways, you know, you have to, again, recognize where you are and what you can do within the market. Like I said, I spent most of the day by the pool, okay, doing other things. I was not trading very actively today because there's not a lot of activity to do. I have all my other positions on, but again, I'm not going to stand around and beg and hope for something to show. Okay, it makes no sense. In January, propane paid 179, last week 269. But average family is in trouble. That's right. Well, again, this ties back to everything. And of course, this ties back to what? I mean, the sad thing today is that we have the answer. Okay, that's the sad thing. And we refuse to answer. Okay. We have the answer right in the United States of America. Okay. It takes one thing and one thing only to do. Okay. And not only if they did that one thing, not only would it create more jobs, but it would help the Fed with inflation, because if you haven't noticed, I think mortgage rates are about 5.25 or 5.5 now and going higher. Okay. So propane, I mean, the captain sends me screenshots from Texas a year ago or so, or whatever. He was paying $1.99 for gas. Now he's paying over $4. Okay. Or 3 something, whatever. So, but we have the solution right here. But of course, we don't want to have the solution because that would go against the globalism of what we do. Okay. Of what this administration is trying to do. Okay. Now, again, you can support them. Listen, I don't care who you vote for. You vote for, you vote for. But at the end of the day, this is a problem that should be solved. And I think I ask this question every single week. But at what cost are we trying to get under control of, if you believe in climate control or climate change, if you believe in everything they spin, at what cost do you want to get there? Okay, that has to be your bigger question. At what cost do you want to pay to get there? I don't want to pay what we're paying now. Okay, I think we're giving away everything. That's my opinion. Okay, I think we've not only given up power and standing in the world, but we're killing the middle class. We're killing everybody. Okay, except for those who have. Okay, so again, for me, it's not going to make a difference. Okay, you know, again, whatever happens, I'll be fine. But you know, young people, I feel bad for the younger generation. I feel bad for people that have to go back to work now because the cost is so high to eat. Okay, you know, I mean, you go to the grocery store, the shelves are empty. If you can find what you want, they're empty, or they're expensive. One of the two. I mean, I shop at Albertsons, right? I talked about that all the time. I looked yesterday. I had to go shopping, believe it or not, you know, and I'm not a grocery shopper, but I go through the thing and I clip everything that I need to clip and get my points and whatever it is. And long and short of it is very simple. Okay, half the things I need are unavailable. I don't have. Okay, now whose problem is? Where's that problem come from? Okay, it comes from the supply chain. Okay, and the supply chain is busted. Okay, and that is also by choice, not by necessity. Okay, there are things that happen in the country and in the world that are going to happen, and they just show up on you. And there's things that you have control of. Okay, we have control of what's going on right now. We just we just don't want to take control. Okay, so you think about it, and from that point of view, okay, and if I'm wrong, listen, don't be afraid to speak up. I can admit if I'm wrong, but I don't think that I'm wrong. I think that I'm not only right, but I think I'm 1,000% right. Okay, I think that we're being brought down the rabbit hole, as they say, and we're being sold out like a bunch of bums. That's what I see. Okay, now I don't know what you see, but that's what I see. Okay, And I think that's, one of the reasons we see the lack of volume in markets is because you've got a lot of funds, commercials, and institutions waiting to put the sell on, but they know into this light volume, they'll have to sell them into the hole, which they don't want to do. Okay, they're allowing the retail traders to continue to buy these dips, but notice, since we peaked the last time, okay, we continue to go make lower highs. Okay, that is not a bullish signal. Okay, this is not an all systems go. This is a duck or you're in trouble. Okay, and when we look at markets, okay, so this is almost obvious. Obviously, it's not obvious to everybody, but when you've done this long enough, you can kind of see that the commercials are kind of carrying the retail. I used in the chat room, I was talking about the movie Digstown. Okay, if you ever saw the movie Digstown with Lou Gossett and James Woods. Okay, he said he was fighting 10 fights in one day in 24 hours, whatever. In the meantime, they were getting betting side action, and he was carrying a few of the fighters to get the side action up. Well, this is what I believe is happening now, that the funds, institutions, commercials are kind of carrying the bulls a little bit before they crack them. Okay, I think there's a greater probability of a 40 to 60% haircut than there is a chance at new highs. Okay, and we're only 20% from new highs approximately, or if that much. So look, I'm just saying, again, I don't make predictions. I'm just saying what I see from a trading standpoint. Okay, from an overall view standpoint of watching these markets for 45 years. Okay, and I don't see a pretty picture. I see a lot of issues that for years we have ignored. Okay, and again, this is not just this. Some of these issues go back 50 years. Okay, they're continuing to kick the can down the road by printing more money. Okay, now there's an old saying, right? Actually, it's a Bubba saying, but you cannot borrow your way out of debt. Okay, it does not work. It's been tried by many, okay, and does not work. Okay, throwing more money at a bad problem does not work. Okay, and until they make changes, and I know don't start with the term limits that I already know. Okay, but until they change the Social Security age and make some adjustments, it's not going to matter. They're going to keep kicking the can down the road. Okay, and they're going to keep trying to borrow money because they can, right? We don't have control over that. We don't control the overall, the money supply. The Fed does. Okay, and since the Fed, that is supposed to be private, became a public corporation, became a political group. Okay, it has changed the value of money. Okay, now you may be making a hell of a lot more money than you were making a long time ago, but I'll bet you that your dollars went a lot further long ago. Okay, and this is lies the issue that, again, can be corrected, but unfortunately, the parties in power don't want to correct it. Now, again, if I took a straw poll here, okay, and I've got enough of an audience here to get this question, I would love for you to answer it. Should we drill oil? Yes or no? Yes, we should, or no, we shouldn't. Okay, and I'd love to see some answers. Okay. Yeah, and naturally, see, and this is what I'm talking about here. So here we are. We're just average citizens chatting on a Monday night. Okay, and I'm sure, hell yes, and I'm sure that, listen, I'm sure this audience is more center right than left. Okay, I don't think I have any progressives, but again, left or right, I don't care. Listen, the bottom line is, if you remember the day, it didn't matter left or right where they were similar. There was a few personal issues that made a difference, but nothing as dramatic as today. Okay, And of course, so I've got 100 answers and I don't have any no's. How's that? Okay. I voted for Joe. Just say Joe. I mean, so I've got over 100 answers and not one no among all of us. So what are they missing? Okay. So is this not them trying to take over and eliminate democracy? Oh, look who's here. What's up, brother?
Hello. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
I just took a poll. Okay. Just, random. And I said, should we drill oil or not drill oil? Okay. And we have over 100 yeses and 0 no's.
My answer is a pig's ass pork.
And so if we know the answer, and the answer is pretty simple, right? I mean, listen, it's not going to solve the problems of the world, but certainly if you went back to a net exporter, you would put a lot of pressure on Russia because it would reduce the price of oil. Okay. And you would bring the cost down of people's biggest costs you'd bring inflation back into real numbers that would not put so much pressure on the Fed. They have to continue to try to hike these rates because they're going to have to do something. Okay.
Yeah, include fracking for gas in that because wait until people get their gas bills.
Oh, I know. Fracking and shale producing. Look, again, I'm saying, so if we can answer that question pretty easily, how can they not see this? Okay.
Because they have another agenda.
Okay.
Which is this green agenda, which is about control.
Okay. No, I agree with that. Okay. Again, I'm not disagreeing whatsoever.
Just like not the shareholders, but just like the powers who own big blocks of Twitter stock won't let Musk in because they want control. They don't even care what the shareholders think.
Some folks live with climate change as their biggest fear. It's amazing. Okay. Now, again, How much do you think
the people in Kiev care about climate change right now?
Right. I say BS on climate change. But again, I'm not going to argue with anybody. If you can prove it, I mean, I have evidence that there isn't. You can give me evidence there is. Okay, fine. But it's not tomorrow. And I read the other day, and I don't read much, but I read the other day, apocalypse, the world's ending in 3 years. What did AOC say the first time?
12 years.
Yeah.
By the way, the world could end tomorrow if Putin presses a couple of buttons.
Right.
So what are we talking about here? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Right. Danger. Fed history is of course they screw up. Listen, I said that a year ago, okay, or 2 years ago. I've always said it, but I said it in particular to this case right now, that the Fed would F it up. And they have not disappointed. They're so far behind the interest rate curve, okay, that Andy will tell you that we're still, even with 10-year almost at 3%, we're still nominally at negative rates in this economy.
Nominally? No, big time.
Yeah.
I mean, so 11.2 PPI, 8.5, and even if you believe the core, I think the way I really establish inflation is I take the core and I add it to the CPI. 6.5 plus 8.5 is 17. That's more close to where it is.
Right.
So that's my math.
I agree.
That's the right math. So
listen, I agree with you.
With rates at 3%, if they went to 3%, we're still 14% negative. So this is all BS. And the bottom line is, just look at commodity prices, look at oil, look at gold, look at soybeans, look at corn over $8, look at natural gas over $8. I mean, the market's.
You know what's bad? You know what's sad about that?
Yeah,
they're going a lot higher.
Right, but the point is the markets don't lie. Politicians lie. The markets don't lie.
Quebec banned all natural gas drilling today. They have massive.
Perfect. Well, they got Trudeau. He's an idiot.
Yeah. I mean, so. I say this, okay, and I try to be fairly neutral again, but this administration are treating us criminally, in my opinion. This is almost like treason, destroying the country. Any thoughts?
Well, it's either that or just that they're really stupid.
Well, I can't put they're really stupid on every one of them. I mean, it could be, but I mean, I know Ilhan Omar's stupid, but I mean, I can't put stupid. I can't put that label across all, however many there are. What, 200 and something or 300 and something, whatever it is.
Yeah. I mean, what, in Congress?
Well, they're half of Congress, right? A little
Yeah.
bit more than half.
Half of Congress,
Half of the Senate.
So about 300.
Okay, well, it's, and the president and the vice president. So, anyways, so Mr. Heck, any bitches this week?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty annoyed about this this whole Elon Musk thing. I mean, I think he's trying to do a service here with his money, and I think he wants social media to be a free speech platform. And who's objecting to this? Okay, you got the BlackRock guys who are tied into the government. You got Prince Al Walid, who I mean, if there's a poster boy for non-free speech, they locked him up in a Ritz-Carlton until he signed over, a couple of tens of billions of dollars to the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. These are the people that the board, that Twitter is listening to. I mean, this is BS like I never saw it. The bottom line is, he's doing a service for the shareholders. Where was that stock trading? Where was that Twitter stock trading before he came along? Now he's bidding $54 a share.
It was about 30 something, I think. I don't know. Right. I haven't followed it for.
The bottom line is,
it was $34.
Right. So the bottom line is here that he's trying to do a service. And, it's like your money's no good unless you agree with the politics. And I'm very sorry, but this is a capitalist country. And if someone wants to buy something,
are we still
discriminating? Well, it's supposed to be, but you're discriminating. This is unconstitutional, in my opinion.
I say treason.
Listen, I don't agree with Elon Musk about everything. I don't.
Right.
I find him an interesting character. I think he's a genius. I think he's a little bit way out there, but
a little bit.
Yeah, he's out there. Listen, there's a fine line between insanity and genius, and he's probably, a little Asperger's or whatever he is, but he's a brilliant guy. He's a brilliant guy, and he uses Twitter. He believes in free speech. He's probably libertarian like Peter Thiel, and at the end of the day, it's new investing versus old investing. You got guys like Munger and Buffett and Diamond and Larry Fink at BlackRock on one side. You got guys like Musk and Peter Thiel on the other side. And this is a big battle. It's a big battle. And the battle is for freedom.
Well, right. But do you believe that they are stealing our freedom?
Yes. And I think Musk is trying to take a stand against it. I agree. I think he's trying to take a stand. And you know what? I think it's disgusting. By the way, he said exactly the right thing, exactly what he should have said. I want a shareholder vote. Have a shareholder. You want a poison pill? Fine. I want a shareholder vote. Every shareholder votes. And by the way, if the shares are owned by BlackRock, BlackRock doesn't vote. Those shareholders of BlackRock vote. That's what I'd like to see.
Right.
It's disgusting.
I agree. Look,
it's
again, this
disgusting.
I mean, I've been going over this for over a year on my podcast and with you, and it's not getting better. It's getting worse. And we're in a jackpot for no reason. Okay. Which makes me even angrier. Again, not for me, not for you, but you got two granddaughters. You just had.
I got one in the other room. I know.
Okay. You got children that are young. Okay. I mean, they're going to have to live with this forever. Okay. And this is what the problem is. Censorship's been a problem long before this guy got there, but it's obviously getting much worse.
Well, it was okay a couple of years ago. It was getting a little better, but the powers that be didn't let the man, didn't let Trump do anything. It's amazing the double standard between what the press is doing now and what they did over the last couple of years.
Really?
Amazing.
You mean if that was Donald Trump Jr. instead of Hunter Biden, you think there would have been news every single day? And
they would have hung him. I mean, listen, I'm no fan of Donald Trump Jr. I think he's a rich kid, pompous guy. I did something about him just rubs me the wrong way. His whole way about him. I don't have to like him, but he certainly hasn't done anything like the current president's son. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. I mean, look.
I mean, I don't have to like the guy, but the point is, and I don't have to like Trump's personality, and I don't. but I like everything he did. I do.
Everything he stood for, right? Everything
I
he
liked
stood for.
everything he did. As a person, do I like him? No,
No,
listen, I'm a New Yorker and I'm an obnoxious New Yorker, but he brings it to a different level. And he was his own worst enemy, Bubba.
right,
The only thing I'll say that I really blame him for is that when he grew to that office, when he came to that office, that the hubris was too much. He was the leader of the free world. He needed to tone it down a little bit, and he would have gone down in history as the greatest ever. But he
right.
couldn't do it. His ego's too big, and that was his problem. That's his cross to bear. So
we needed a muzzle for him.
I would have him back in a minute because I liked everything he did. I just don't want to listen to him, man. He just says stupid stuff.
Do I agree with Trump's lie about winning the election? Do I agree? No. Andy and I.
No. I will tell you, Biden won the election, and this is my opinion.
Yeah.
He won the election because he cheated better. And in every election, there's cheating, and in close elections, cheating matters. And they cheated better. That's it. He won the election. I don't dispute that at all. And that's it. That's the end of story. Trump, all this stuff about this is his ego. This is my problem with Trump. His ego is my problem. Nothing else. I liked his policies. I hate his ego. How's that?
We have never disputed the fact that this was that this election was stolen. It may have been, it may not have been, but we do know that both parties have criminal effects when it comes to elections. Okay, and again, as Andy said, they cheated better.
Right. And by the way, you go back to the Kennedy election.
Yeah, that was another election.
Kennedy's father and Sam Giancana, they rigged that one. They rigged these elections. They're all rigged. They're all stolen by one party or the other. It's the one who's the better criminal. That's my opinion.
I agree. Listen, I said this from the beginning. I'll say it one more time and we'll move on. I said that initially the Biden-Harris ticket was a losing ticket to begin with. It was meant to be a loser because they didn't want it, not that they have anybody better behind them, but they didn't want to waste anybody in an election they figured to lose. Very similar to Palin and McCain, who was never going to win either. And when it got close, you could see that they went for it and they stole it.
A combination of the pandemic and the media swung that election.
Right. If Trump replaced the word "I" with "we," it might be. Yeah,
you're right. That's exactly right.
If we allow voting at Harvard, we'll never have a fair election. Also true.
There's a movie called The Devil's Advocate with Keanu Reeves.
Oh yeah.
Al Pacino.
Yeah.
And he's the devil, Al Pacino, and he says at the end of the movie, he says, "Vanity, my favorite sin." It sums up Trump and me. Vanity, ego. It's a sin. It is. Especially when you get to that level. Listen, everyone has to have a good self-image, but he takes it to a stupid extreme.
My last comments on elections right now. Okay. Trump, if he kept his mouth shut, would have been reelected. But after he was not reelected, if he kept his mouth shut, the Senate would still be right, which is, again, I don't care. In general, I don't care. I just don't want one party to have full control of everything.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what I care about. In the meantime,
I agree. Gridlock is good.
Right. Because it makes the decision process have to be worked together, not
debate, compromise. Exactly.
Okay. Anyways, so Andy, these markets are about as tough as they get.
They are tough. They are tough. The one sector that is not as tough is the commodities sector.
Well, which is why we're killing it in commodities and struggling everywhere else.
And that makes sense. Listen, and it's inflation, and that's the bottom line here. It's like, I look at the prices every morning. Am I surprised what I see? No. Will I be surprised if I see new highs across the board and all this stuff? No, not at all.
I mean,
I was laughing while I was drinking a glass of orange juice this morning.
$1 was $1.87 or $1.89.
Yeah. It's crazy numbers.
$1.91. I'm wrong. Jesus, up.
Crazy number. It was up another 10 cents today.
Where's Valentine and Winthrop?
Valentine and Winthrop. Unfortunately, the Dukes are both dead.
Yeah, I mean, so at the end of the day, it's a challenging market because we have no volume anymore. That is totally disappeared. Okay, that is a I just lost my train of thought. Okay, how about that?
volume
The volume is pathetic. I mean, today, right now, there's still 14 minutes to go. 872,000 S&P contracts traded. Average is about 2 million. Okay, and this is every day now. Okay, which tells you that there's very little follow through in these markets. European bank holiday, I understand, but still, if you go back and look at the last, I don't know, couple of weeks, look at the overall volume the last couple of, oh, here I'm on, here it is. Okay, here, the bank weren't closed there. Look at this volume. Okay, this is well below normal. I mean, Friday, let's see, Friday we were closed, right? Wednesday we were way down. Okay, Thursday we're up, reasonable, but still way down. Look at last week. I mean, again, these are not normal trading markets that have real follow through, real markets to them. This is what makes day trading a challenge, which is why I think in our day trading we do together, I think we might have made 4 trades in the last week. Okay, now think about that. Okay, we've made 6 trades or 7 trades in an hour, and we've made 4 in a week. Now, fortunately, none of them have been losers, but they're not big winners either. They're basically break even, plus we call them the Bubba Burgers. Okay, but overall, until we break one way or the other, it's going to be like this, because you've got, as I said, Andy, I don't know if you were here, but I believe that the funds, the institutions, the commercials really want to sell, but they don't want to sell too fast, because at the end of the day, okay, if they push them now, it'll crack the market wide open and they won't be able to get good fills. They'll have to chase it down. I don't think they want to do that. What do you think?
It's possible. It's possible.
Okay.
But the other side of the coin is, this inflationary spiral that we're experiencing. Even if stocks stay the same, they're going down in value.
Right.
So
and corn is definitely going. I mean, definitely. There's nothing definite, but I would bet that corn's going to $10 to $12 without a problem. We've said this every week, that when beans come out of teens, it's not going to be at 12. It's going to be over 20.
I think wheat is going to go up to $20 a bushel. I mean, I think all the stage is set here.
Right.
Oil is consolidating at 107.
And in the grain market, you've got the worst of all scenarios. Okay. Yeah. Not only do you have geopolitical issues going on, not only do you have all the other fuel costs, fertilizer, blah, 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 but you get weather, which is not very good to start. Now, again, the weather still has enough time. Mother Nature can still correct that part of it. Okay.
Not for the South American crop, Bubba.
No, and Australia. I mean, those are done. But again, we have to, obviously, with technology, we have the ability to produce a hell of a lot more corn and beans in a week today than we did 20 years ago, right?
Yeah, but we need fertilizer.
I know. But I mean, again,
it's great. This is, I don't think I've ever seen the stars line up. Now, that doesn't mean that these things are going to go straight up, but I don't think in my career, and I'm talking about, 41 years now, I have never seen the fundamentals and the technicals align like they are.
Right. I agree.
And we said this last year.
Yep.
The prices were much lower last year. We said it last year, Bubba. We actually said it before that. We said it in November 2020.
Yep.
When we became aware, we said oil was under $40 a barrel. We both said this thing's going to 100.
Indeed, we did.
And we said all prices are going to go up because the Fed, the central bank, the stimulus, when my mother is getting a stimulus check and using it to pay her estimated taxes, I know something's wrong.
How come you never say I'm correct?
No, we both said it. We both.
No, I know. I'm kidding. That's my captain. That's my private pilot.
And you know what? I can't change my view here. A lot of times I'll look at the markets and I'll say, oh, these levels, prices rise to levels, where the cure for high prices is high prices.
But how high is high?
Yeah, how high is high, and what's the value of money? And I'm looking at the dollar index rallying, and I'm saying to myself, this thing ain't rallying. This thing isn't rallying. This thing is just going down less than everything else.
Right. And interestingly enough, Andy, as we look at the dollar, okay, I do RFD TV 3 times a week. Okay, farming TV. And they always say, well, the dollar's up. How can grains go? I said, that doesn't matter. The correlation does not have to be immediate, number one. Number two, they really, other than over years and years and years, they really have nothing to do with each other.
Right. And the answer, another answer is the dollar's up. What do you mean? The dollar's not up. The dollar's down.
Right, but it takes more euro currencies to buy corn. Again, this is their logic. And I go, that's incorrect. Okay, you can't, again, I said this before you got here, you cannot borrow your way out of debt. You cannot keep, stealing currency, which is what they're doing basically, or as I've said many times, taxation without representation.
Right, so let's go one step further.
Yeah.
The dollar index.
Yep.
What is it made up of? It's made up of the
56-point-something% of the euro currency.
The euro, the Swedish krona, the Swiss franc, the pound. Well, Russia is breathing down all their necks. The yen, North Korea and China are breathing down their necks. Well, the dollar index is meaningless. The only thing is it's a trading sardine. That's what it is. So these things are going down faster than the dollar index. But please go to the gas station and tell me how strong your dollar is.
Anyways, Connie, the dollar is $1 par to 101. Okay, we're long, so obviously I'm not selling it. That would be like I said today in gold. Okay, that watch 2000, it'll probably fail from there the first time attempt, and it did. And of course, I immediately get an email. I'll read you the headlines of this real quick.
Oh, I love it. Go ahead.
It says, and the Anglo-American paper bankers swatted back with gusto once again.
That's ridiculous.
Of course it's ridiculous. I called it long before, when it was up $22, just over 2000. I said, watch this area. It could fail here very easily. And
yes,
of course it's
because gold is a currency, and gold is a central bank currency, and it trades like a currency, which means it has a much lower volatility. But the trend is your friend. And for 23 years, the trend in gold is higher.
Right. In the meantime, the dollar is $1 to 101, and then the euro currency, which again, 88 cents is coming, kids.
Gotta get to parity first, Bubba. Parity first, okay?
Yeah, another key spot right here. Okay, that it's probably not going to hold. It does with what's going on, and with the fraud of the banking, the central banking systems, not just the Fed, but all of them throughout the globe. We're still short, and again, I would love to see a pop to 109. I'd be a welcome seller. I would see that we're looking at probably the next real support is probably, if it gets through 108, which it figures to do, the next real support is probably 106. That's another 2 cents.
103.96 on the dollar index is a big number because that was the high from March 2022. And I think that corresponds with the 105, 106 level, Bubba.
Probably, yeah. He bitched about Twitter and Musk being prevented and not taking care of the shareholders when you stepped away. Okay. In the meantime, Bitcoin, look, it sold off. Not a surprise. We're short Bitcoin right now, but it's not a surprise that it sold off, and not because we're short. It's just simply, it's a market that's kind of like everything else, stuck in a range of nothing. Okay, we're in a churn and burn mode. There was a lot of good news over the weekend for Bitcoin, but yet it did not pop. Okay, so that just tells you now. I think.
By the way, did you see Peter Thiel called Warren Buffett a sociopathic grandpa?
I did not, but
over Bitcoin.
But you know what? I would bet you almost any amount of money that they have Bitcoin or representation in their portfolios.
They definitely do because they bought a Brazilian bank that owns a lot of it.
So in the meantime, look, now there is some new resistance that's coming in at 42,000. It looks like we're 38 to 42. Now, Andy and I are both believers, and I think this can go a lot higher. And I think by the very fact that they're putting more products out there that have representation to this, the fact that Trade Your Brokerage is going to allow you to trade it freely and use it as margin against other securities as well, is just another thing saying that it's real. Now, right. You can
Robinhood opened a crypto wallet, so there are developments here, and you have micro options now, so there are developments.
Right, And they're bringing, so the more they bring to market, the more that companies and the governments are accepting it. Okay. Whether they want to admit to it or not. Now, again, 38 to 42, but look, I don't trade Bitcoin as a rule. I mean, I trade it in the futures market, okay, with a position. But in my personal account that I own, I just own some. I don't trade it. I'm not selling it. I don't care. I mean, if it goes to zero, it goes to zero. I don't think it is though. I think it's got a greater chance to make new highs than to go to 20,000.
I agree. And you know what? I look at it like gold. You hold a little bit.
Where's your note for being late? You can't do that. Okay.
I'd rather hold gold than Bitcoin, but that's because I'm 62 years old.
Right.
If I was 32 years old, I'd want to hold Bitcoin instead of gold. This is a generational thing.
Yeah, I just wish I'd have gotten in at the right time and I had it right. But anyway, that's another story for another day. The bond market continues to head towards Andy's target of 136 and something 13, I think.
Yeah, 136.16.
16. I was going to say that first, but I thought it was 13.
Yeah,
anyway.
No. That's the October 2008 low. And interestingly enough, we've been tolling for that since 160-ish and above 160. And quite frankly, it's like an express train.
And it's just trending beautifully. And of course, we've been shorted.
And below there, 127 and change is the 2013 low.
Yeah, I mean, and there's certainly a real opportunity to see this thing really collapse because rates have got to go up. Okay, mortgage rates are skyrocketing. Okay, and you know, you can say what you want about the Fed. Remember, when the Fed talks interest rates, they're talking about the Fed fund lending rate to other banks. They're not talking about the lending rate to you. Okay, so in the meantime, there is no support. I think 142 is resistance, and I'd be a very willing seller at that level. But I don't have any, I have no support for, I can't even find it. How's that? Okay. The only support comes back at where Andy's numbers are, 136 and change. Okay. So, I mean, I'm not saying it's going straight there. Remember, the bigger the price moves, the more volatility that comes
by the
in
way,
price.
Brother, you don't even need bond market vigilantes. The bond market is just doing its thing.
It's sinking. It's like Giancana gave him some concrete shoes.
Oh yeah, it's wearing cement shoes.
So again, remember this, okay, that, you know, again, there'll be some big rallies in here. There'll be a up 1 or 2 point day in the bond market because again, when the prices get bigger and they start moving, you may not have volume and you may not have implied volatility, but you're certainly going to get some price volatility. Okay, so 142 resistance, I am not buying it.
Don't forget the Benjamin Graham crowd. That's the Buffett crowd, the value crowd, the old school crowd. When the stock market has a big whoosh downside, they're going to go and buy bonds. That's where you're going to get corrections.
Right. Gold broke out. Okay, and it finally, you know, took out that it held at 1900 and 1920. Now it's got some new support at 1960, and sure enough, today, as it got just over 2000 and it failed. Those Anglo banksters, they did it again. In the meantime,
I don't know who I ran one of those Anglo banks. And they said it even when I did it, when I ran it. And gold was between 300 and 400. And it was the same crowd. And you know what? It's the same BS at 2000 as it was at 300 to 400.
Exactly. I mean, look, it's in an uptrend. It held beautifully. It held the bottoms at 1900, which was our, you know, first we were at 1800, if you remember. And then it was 1900. Now the key is can it chisel through 2000? And the answer is probably. I mean,
the answer is, listen, this is very good technical action. We came down from a new all-time high in early March. We consolidated, we traded sideways, we traded in a range, and now we went above the top end of the range. The odds favor higher. I think
we're set up, Andy, for all-time new highs. What do you think?
Oh, I think so too. I mean, I think that also that, you know, last time we made a marginal new high. We went from, it was like from 2063 to just over 2070. I think this time it'll be a little bit more significant.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's got, look, it may not. And again, if it changes, we'll be.
It just feels very bullish. And by the way, you know, like a lot of other commodities, Bubba, the stars are very much aligned for this gold market.
Right. Exactly. So I think that, again, right now, 1960, 2000 is a little resistance. I'm not going to sell it at 2000. I'm just saying that that's where I'd expect to see.
I will say one thing. The one fundamental thing that could prove to be incredibly explosive for gold is if Russia's ally China decides to say X number of yuan equals a gram of gold. That could be, I mean, Russia is one thing. It ain't a big economy. What is it? It's the size of Italy. If China says something like that, then watch out.
Right. So, again, at the end of the day, okay, look, it may fail, but I would suspect that, the key is going to be if it can close above 2000 and hold that, then it's going to make new highs. Okay, that's all. And in the meantime, 1960 to 2000, Connie. Silver, again, same thing. It got up to, I wrote this morning, 2650. Look at that. Okay, that would be the key to watch. And look what happened. Bang, down. When I wrote this before I saw any of this, right? So again, it's not like I'm past posting you and telling you what I said. I wrote it. Okay, early this morning, at 4 o'clock this morning, I wrote it. Okay, now what I'm saying here is, look, it looks great. Okay, and silver looks like it's ready to run, and maybe finally, after a few years of doing nothing, it's going to really break and run. I don't know that for sure, but certainly the technical pattern looks awfully good, and it looks like it's got a good chance to take out the 2750, which is the next big level, I see. What do you think?
Yeah, well, we said it last week, and we'll be talking about this in the second hour, Bubba. But last week, both you and I pointed to the gold and the silver mining shares, and we said how they are really outperforming, and they're telling us that the metal is going to move, and it has. And you know what? Those mining shares are still very strong, and that's very bullish to me.
Oh, yes, they are. Man. Anyways, so silver 2550, 2650. But again, I think it'll take it out. Look, I think those resistance levels are going to be gone. Okay, I think they're going to take them out. But remember, number one, they don't take them out in one fall swoop. Number one. Number two, it's better for a trending market to take its time breaking to the next level, so that it gives you more power. Remember, if you expend all your bullets on the first move up, it's hard to continue the rally or either side. Right?
That's right. The price spikes, in a lot of these kind of precious metals markets, they tend to be shooting stars. When they build nice bases, you tend to get a much firmer trend and stable trend.
Olga, are you asking about copper? Because I'll get there shortly, but I don't know if that's what you're asking about. That's HG in my mind.
That's high grade, baby. High
2550, 2650. And platinum, finally, it's back over 1,000. Platinum still looks awful, but
dog with fleas, Bubba.
Right, but it is over 1,000. Okay, and again, can it run? Listen, this can run like nothing else. This can run like a very, what it is, very thin, and could go crazy if it decides to. Now, again, will they find the buyers to come and take this out? What's going on in palladium?
Palladium may, listen, it's $1,000 off the high from the beginning of March, but it's also $1,000 above the low. It's a very thin, you talk about thin trading. Right. I mean, this thing, the other thing is, the interesting thing in palladium is if you could put up open interest with it, you'll notice that open interest has collapsed in palladium. And what I think that is because Russia's the biggest producer, that the Russian producers had a lot of hedges on the NYMEX, and I think they liquidated them all. And basically now it's just, it's lumber. It's trading like lumber.
I don't disagree with that at all. I don't have the open interest here, but I could see that. But here's a palladium chart. It looks just like platinum.
Open interest is shrunk to I think around 6,000 contracts last I looked.
In the meantime, platinum would be, if you're keeping score at home, 980 to 1040. Oh, 10 tax day tomorrow, 1040. 980 to 1040. Okay. Copper, look, we're so short copper. Okay. Now it's testing the upper end. Now maybe it'll switch tomorrow. Again, this has been, from a trading standpoint, from a trend trading standpoint, from any standpoint, this is about as tough as it gets. Look at the tightness. And again, that's not just now.
But like in the gold, the stocks, the producer stocks, the FCXs, the Southern Coppers, the BHPs, the Rios, they've been doing very well. So right. they're giving a little signal here.
No, I understand. I agree. Listen, again, I'm not disagreeing at all whatsoever. I think, it's going a lot higher along with the rest of the commodity world.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, this is the way I look at it too. So we get chopped up in the trend following between 460 and 480, but then we eventually catch the move from 480 to 680.
USO is a piece of crap. Okay. Anytime you're involved in these ETFs, especially if they have any leverage whatsoever, they don't have the ability to calculate the backwardation or contango. You're never going to do well in those over a long term.
USO is a totally failed ETF. As good as GLD has been, USO has been that bad.
Right.
You're better off playing XLE. You really are.
Copper would be, 485 is resistance, but this could be changing tomorrow. I don't know. I mean, my guess is it will, but again, I don't have the numbers yet. But
I think next week we'll be talking. I think next week we'll be talking about.
I'll be crying because it went back to the bottom end of the range again.
No, I think it'll be up around $5.
I hope so. I mean, I hope we get on the right side of it. I'm tired of this consolidation. It's miserable. Okay. Corn, look again, here we go.
Oh my God.
So last week, everybody was crying. 2 weeks ago, I'm on air. I go, look, they're going higher. Okay. I'd Market Rally Radio every Wednesday. I go, look, they can't go down from here. I said, and they go, well, every time I hear that, I said, yeah, normally I would agree with you. However, I don't think we're anywhere close to where we're going. Okay. We're not at a high prices, pure high prices price yet. We're not totally out of whack.
What's limit in corn?
30 cents.
And we're going to see limit up days.
Okay. And not only are we not close, in my opinion, but the chart pattern. See, this is the key. The chart pattern is supporting, as Andy said earlier, fundamentals and technicals are reaching together. The chart pattern suggests it's got a lot of room to go because it traded dead perfect, broke out big, got too far off the mean, went sideways. Look at it. Went sideways until it met with the trend and took off again. Okay. So, again, if we go sideways again for a couple of weeks, don't be surprised, but also don't be surprised if it keeps going higher. Okay. But now I look at this, instead of 720, 780 should be the support. Okay. And again, who knows where the top is at? There is no top.
840. The next target is that 2012 high, which is 843.75, I believe. I might be off by 1/4 cent.
That's fine. I mean, again, who knows? I mean, I assume for right now, I would have no problem saying 10, 11, 12, $13. Okay. That's a big number from here, but again, just watching.
It's going to be violent. It's good. Remember how wheat was in the beginning of March.
Yep.
And it got up to 1340, a little bit above there. It was violent. And when it goes, it'll be violent.
Right. Anyway, 780 to 820. Soybeans, look at this. Soybeans are doing the same thing as corn did.
It's a beautiful consolidation pattern.
And now waiting for the next big move up. Okay. Again, you saw, there's a big backwardation in beans always, from now until November, the new crop. And November is well over $15 right now.
Right. And the target is 1794 3/4. That's the all-time high in beans. We'll see an 18 print. Are we going to get there in a straight line? Very unlikely. It's going to be choppy, but the patterns are very bullish. You can't.
But for bulls who are along this, you don't want it to get there in a straight line.
Right.
We want, it's called delayed gratification.
Right.
In the meantime, 1640 to 1720. Okay. And farmers who hedge, you're going to be rolling this week. You'll get an email probably tomorrow. Okay. And wheat now, again, we're long wheat as well. We're long all three. And once again, wheat is now finally, after consolidating, has now started to break out to the upside. Okay. And I think that you're going to be looking at probably $11 is pretty key support. Okay. And the next real resistance is probably, 1160, 1170. But watch $12. That would be what I'd be looking at. But I'm not a seller at any price. Okay?
Right. The targets are much higher here.
Yeah. I think you said 20. I would have no doubt with that. In fact, that'd be funny. That wouldn't be funny, but that would match Minneapolis wheat in 2008 at 21. Right. I think it was 20. You got the 21 or $22 in about 2 seconds.
Right. And the CBOT wheat, the soft red winter wheat is the worldwide benchmark. And this is about Ukraine. So
$11, and I'd be looking at 12 more than anything else. Again, I'm not going to sell it until it's time, but I'm not even thinking straight on.
How much wheat's going to go out of those Black Sea ports this year?
0.
Right.
And of course, the cattle markets, look, feeders, you know, are going to suffer a little bit
Yes.
when corn is higher. However, again, this comes back down, in my eyes, to an inflationary issue. When people go to budget their money, I don't care if it's grilling season or not, okay, do they want to pay for a steak or are they going to pay for a pork chop? Okay.
And today
that's
was the perfect example.
what's that?
I say today was the perfect example.
Yeah. I mean,
you had hogs screaming higher and you had the cattle easy.
And crude oil was spiking higher. Now, hogs are getting a little testy here, but in the meantime, feeders were short anyways. 158 in the near-term contract. I'd have to look out farther, but it doesn't make matter. That's what we're trading right now. And then cattle, very much the same thing. Now, again, cattle looks a little bit better than feeders, but again, I think it has the same fate. And I think, now look, I don't trade like this, but my guess is it's tied almost directly to oil now. Okay. When oil goes way up, cattle goes down because again, it's really just a budget issue. How much money do you have to spend? Where are you going to spend
volumes, though.
Sorry?
Look at the volumes.
Yeah, it's non-existent.
Right.
Okay. So in the meantime, I think 141 or so is some resistance. We'll see. Okay, we're still short, and hogs, I'm sure, will be long tomorrow. But again, back-to-back gangbuster days. Okay. Now look, it's not a surprise. Look at this volume. It almost virtually non-existent. But let me just
it went up. It went up in a vacuum.
Right. Let me just move to. I want to move to these charts for 1 second. Okay, because I want to make sure I'm giving accurate data. Sometimes the one doesn't roll as fast as the other. And this is June. Okay, so June hog. Here's June, which is what we're trading. Okay, look at this. Now we're what are we? 15% from the all-time high. Wait, 138, right?
Yeah, 138 and change.
I mean, what can I tell you? Okay, zero is correct. There are 57 vessels of grain commodities trapped in the Black Sea that are going to rot. Yes, agree.
Of course. I mean, it's.
In the meantime, obviously, now again, this
and
is
the sad part of that is it's going to mean a lot of people in the lesser developed world are going to starve.
Right, and it means there's going to be a lot more wars and a lot more rioting,
civil unrest,
okay, and a lot less people working. Which again, fracking and shale producing would take care of all those things. But why should we take care?
Work though, Bubba.
Screw the rest of everybody. Okay, Americans can afford to pay for it because we're capitalists, or we used to be. Anyways, look, these are awfully steep, but again, it's still cheaper than cattle. Okay, at some point, there's going to be a point here at some point, but that point nobody knows where that is. Okay, in the meantime, it looks like 120 should be support. Now again, I would not be surprised at all. Okay, I said to you last week, there'll be a limit up move. I would not be surprised to see a limit down move this week. Remember, you got very thin markets. Okay, so don't think that it's not going to happen, because it happens before you can blink. Okay, and of course, the natural gas market. Look at this, unbelievable.
I mean, we said it. This is the market that carries out more people than anything. It goes crazy, and it's crazy. And the European and the Asian markets have been telling us, and now natural gas can move to Asia, it can move to Europe by ocean vessel. And right now, I just got to give you some figures. As of the end of April 8th, stockpiles in the U.S. were 23.9% below last year, 17.8% below the 5-year average. And wait, you're going to get some brutal gas bills.
Oh yeah. The good thing is, in Las Vegas, since I've been back, I haven't had to turn on the heat. I might have to turn on the air conditioning today.
Well, the air conditioning, yeah, but listen, natural gas, man, it's expensive.
No shit. I mean, look, this is way too fast as a move. We're long. I'm happy. But again, you could bet that there's probably going to be some consolidation. Again, it doesn't really matter. Remember, the outside world, it doesn't really matter when it comes to the actual trading and value of what the market is worth. So if you see some consolidation, don't be surprised. We've seen it a number of times on the way up. We've been long for quite a while, and we keep breaking to the upside.
By the way, compared to the June 2020 low, not that long ago, less than 2 years ago, 5.5 times higher.
Right. And what are they paying in the UK for this?
Oh, it's absurd. It's absurd.
10 times, 7 or 8 times what we're paying, right?
Yo, it's ridiculous.
Somebody threatened me if I didn't look at UNG. I'm gonna do it right now while it's on my mind because it relates here. Look, again, I don't like this ETF. I've made
Not a
it
good
very clear.
ETF.
I know you don't like it either. You like others in place, but in the meantime, this is going parabolic along with it.
Yeah, take a look at Boyle. Put that up.
You know, hold on. Let me. So, I mean, look, am I going to step in and buy UNG today? No, I'm not. Okay, but I don't ever trade it. I haven't traded UNG since it was about $6. Okay, I don't like it. I tend to stay away from most ETFs except for the 5 majors, which I consider the 5 majors. Okay, you said Boyle, right?
Yeah, I'll trade Boyle, but it's leveraged, it's crazy, and it's with a very tight stop. And this is a trading sardine for me. If I don't want to trade natural gas futures, this is what I use. Again, time stops on this because it's leveraged.
Right. So again, these are going way too fast. Now, again, can they continue? Of course it can. But at some point, they're going to have to pull back a little bit, even if they're going significantly higher. Okay. And of course,
how Bubba?
Oh, what's that, babe?
I said some off season.
Oh my God. These are like in-season prices, man. These are like high demand.
These are this is the highest price since 2008. This is insane. And you know what? Very possible we're going to see $10 in this thing.
Oh yeah. I don't think there's any question about it.
And very possible you're going to see bankruptcies because of this.
Oh yeah. I would say right now, first of all, I'm not selling it at any price right now. Okay. But right now, $7.35 to $8.
Right. You got to be wide here. And listen, we've been long this thing for forever.
Mm-hmm. And indeed we have.
Trend following.
So, you have to, again, remember that, this is a little bit parabolic, but anyways, and crude oil, crude came right down to some support at about 95. Okay. And certainly we're bouncing right back up. And again, not a surprise that we're in a consolidation phase right here. Okay. I would say right now, you're probably 100 to 115, but I think we're making new highs before it's all said and done. And unless this administration has a sudden change, because the ignorance of their energy policy now there's nothing dumber than what they're doing right now.
I disagree with you on one point there. Even if
go
they did pivot and change, they can't get the labor in the oil fields to do it. That they just can't get the workers back. They're all working for Amazon now. They can't get them back.
Yeah, but you pay them what they pay them and they get them back.
Yeah, and there's also a huge lag between when they're going to pump and we're going to have some shortages here. It's going to be rough.
There's no question about it.
Right.
Okay? And there's bigger things happening. And again, look, at the end of the day, it would ease a lot of tension in this country and in our economy if they said they were going to go back to work.
And how about in the world?
Well, of course. And if you remember, okay, when they first figured out fracking and shale producing, it started in North Dakota, and guys are living 100 and 200 miles away because the jobs are paying well over 100 grand a year back then.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, 100 to 115. Cocoa, which we're short. Look, this is the one commodity that's really struggling.
It's funny because it is a very counter. It tends to go counter to the others. But you know what? It's struggling, but it's also, if you look back, it's kind of trending higher, higher lows over a longer period. To me, it's going nowhere fast. Every rally fails, right. Every dip fails. It's nothing.
No, I don't disagree with that either. Again, I think when you look at it, again, you have to look at the big perspective. And since the rest of the commodity markets are exploding, you have to assume, yes, we are short. Okay, because we don't make assumptions, we trade the pattern. But, my assumption is that there's probably a greater likelihood that this breaks to the upside than continues to the downside.
Yeah, agreed. Hey, let's answer a question here. It says, does UNG hold its value? From my perspective, UNG has a problem because it has a very big problem with the backwardation contango in the natural gas market. So my answer is no. It doesn't hold its value. It does a terrible job reflecting what's going on in the natural gas.
My answer is the same, and it's the same as USO. It's the same problem. The problem with commodity ETFs, which is when we look at BIDO, we'll do in the second half of the show. What we have to understand is how does the owner or the controller of the ETF, how do they handle the formations that are different, because it's a big difference. Andy's one of Andy's partners or bosses over the years used to make a fortune trading the backwardation model in oil.
That's all he did. He traded front to back spreads, he called
No,
it.
no, I get it. I mean, and again, this is and the wider it gets, and right now, here, if you look at crude right now, for example, or even natural gas, let's look at either one. Let's look at crude, because that's a more stable market, even though it's nuts. Okay, but crude, I'll look at them both. But crude is 107 in May, 107 in June, and if I go out a year from June, it's $90.
Right.
Okay. Now, if I look at natural gas, okay, I look at now and I've got, come on, there you go, honey. I got 790, 790, goes up in the wintertime and then back down. Look at where it's at a year from now.
Yep.
420. Those are wide spreads, which kill ETFs that don't understand how to comprehend what backwardation.
You know what's really interesting to me? They do such a bad job, but on the rolls, they get obliterated on the rolls. Whereas when you're rolling in a long position into a backwardation, you should be picking up credits like crazy. But these things are structured so poorly that they just do not do a good job. And that's why I avoid them.
Right. I couldn't agree. I could not agree
by the way,
on that whole concept.
Day trading them, okay, they tend to move with the, in the same direction. But once you hold them, these are dust collectors.
This would be UNG or any of those would fit in the same category as leverage ETFs that Andy says 10 days and out.
Right.
Okay. In the meantime, cotton, there you go. Consolidate. Look at what do we say? We said the move was too steep. It had to come back. And sure enough, it came back. It held and bang, here we go again.
Okay. Bang zoom, Alice, to the moon.
I mean, where are we going here? $2?
I mean, 227 is the next.
Yeah, I mean,
who the hell knows?
Why would I want to think of anything here? Okay.
Who knows? I mean, this is crazy. It's a
look, I don't want to keep answering the same question over and over again. I'm going to make it one time. All of the commodity products, okay, that use ETFs are not very good because they don't comprehend what can happen back and forth. Okay. Look, you can trade them, but they're never would want to hold them. Okay. It's just not. They're not good concepts. They don't understand the futures market. Okay. That's the bottom line. Okay. They don't understand the futures market, or they don't want to understand the futures market. That I don't have the answer.
The way they're structured, they do not reflect
true price.
Reflect the forward curve.
Right. In the meantime, cotton 140 support, 145 resistance, but I ain't selling. Believe me, this is going much higher. Sugar, again, doing the same thing. Again, not a surprise. We said this, that it wouldn't be a surprise to see it consolidate and watch $20 and bang, $20 held like a champ. And now we're back at 20 and a quarter. Look, it's going to test, but I would say that it needs to probably consolidate for a little bit longer. Okay. Which means up or down every day. We're still long it.
Levels to watch 2069 on the upside and 2390.
Right. And OJ, anyway, 20 to 2050. Okay. OJ, look at this. I mean, there is no way that this can sustain itself, but it can, okay, consolidate. Yeah, that's the difference. Okay.
What was the all-time high? Well, I think it was 227, something like that.
Here, I have to
2016.
I have to go to an extra long. I have to go to an extra long-term.
Yeah, 2016, I think.
Let's see. This was a 227.50, and this was 226.95. 227.50.
Yeah, 227-ish. Yeah. I mean, it looks like it's headed there.
It certainly does. Okay,
and
we're long this.
Look at the 2 10-cent up days in the last 3 sessions.
Unbelievable. Okay.
I mean, folks, that's 20 cents on $1.50 commodity. Figure that out. That's an enormous move.
Unbelievable. There is no way to hold those. If you want to trade them, buy the micro futures. Okay. Again, you can't hold those. Micro futures are your answer. They're available. They're less than a stock, and they take very little money to control. In the meantime,
by the way, with the natural gas and that, there's plenty of producing companies that are going to make a fortune here.
Oh yeah, Valero.
Well, no, that's oil. That's
I know.
refining, oil refining. I'm talking about like Apache and these. I mean, they're going to make a fortune with this.
No.
And you know who's going to make the most?
Warren Buffett.
Right, because he bought all of Dominion's transmission assets
Yeah.
for $10 billion. They're probably worth 150 billion now.
Right. Anyways, watch 180. We're not selling this. I mean, obviously it's going to pull back at some point, but I'm not. First of all, it's too thin to get involved with. But number one, 180 to 195. We'll see what happens. Coffee, we're long, and coffee just kind of dribbling away. Okay, it's again, it's very much in the same pattern as many markets are in, just consolidate.
Yeah.
Okay.
$3.
So I mean, here I look at this 220, 240. Lumber. Okay. Again, it looks bad, but again, remember it went from what, 1700 to 400 or 500. Okay. And then came back up, and we're kind of mid-range, a little bit lower below mid-range here. Look, if all the other commodities are going up, what's going to
like it's bottoming to me here.
Yeah. What is it going to run lumber? Now we don't trade it because it's untradeable. Okay. On a future side. So, but when you look at it, I mean, what's going to prevent it from going higher? I don't think anything. Again, this is the thing in the commodity markets. Between all the stuff that's going on, all these things are probably going to continue to go higher. And I don't think any of them I'm seeing anywhere near their tops. Gas generation US is accelerating because ESG has starved coal production. Yeah. Another genius move, right? We know that China and India are going to stop using coal. They'll clean up the world for us. Anyways, go ahead, sir.
Pollution doesn't travel.
No, we got a bubble over the United States. We got
I think we have
a big dome.
I think we have a bubble over the heads of the politicians in Washington.
Any last thoughts here before we move on to part two?
Be careful. I mean, the markets are, look, the stock market is rough. The bond market is trending nicely.
Right.
The commodities markets are wild, but they're trending.
Right.
Pick and choose. Be very discriminatory. Bubba said it before on his live trading. He's done 4 trades. He's being very selective, and that's why his batting average is good lately. You got to be very selective in these thin markets.
You got to look again. I tell you today, after my live call, I said, I'm turning out the machine. I'm going to do some work, and I went and did some other things. I didn't watch them. I didn't care. What if I miss them? I'm not going to worry about it. You know what?
You don't want to get yourself in trouble in thin conditions.
I know one thing: the markets are open 241 days a year.
That's right.
Okay. There's always tomorrow. I don't have to make it happen today.
Exactly.
Okay? And I think that's one thing to always remember. Okay, is we don't have to do it today. The markets will be here tomorrow, and you're never. If one trade's the difference between success and failure, then you got troubles. Okay. In the meantime, let me stop this recording. Hold on 1 second. We're going to stop this and get the new one going. Hold on 1 second. Stop. Yes. Thanks, honey. Appreciate it. Okay, and then we're going to start the next recording. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to the Monday Night Marathon. We should change the name from the strategy call to the Monday Night Marathon. And, an accountant, we need a taxidermist. Look, markets are struggling. Volume is pathetic. There's not much going on. And, again, you're seeing moves that indicate to me that the professionals have walked away when they see something coming, because they'll let them push it one way or the other. And I think that, when I was a market maker on the floor of the Chicago Board of Options and the other markets, other exchanges, there's a rule or a law, whatever, that if you're in the pit, you are compelled and must by law make a market. So what do market makers do? They step out of the pit. If they don't like the action, they step out of the pit, just on the outskirts, so they're no longer compelled to make a market. Okay. And then, of course, if they see something, they'll come back in. But I think that's what you're kind of seeing here. The lack of volume and the lack of everything else indicates to me that there's a lot bigger issues. Okay. So we'll see how it all trades out. But in the meantime, and here is our leader shaking hands with the air. Okay. I mean,
I knew you know what? I could have predicted you were putting that up there.
Can you imagine? Okay. I mean, he needed the Easter Bunny to give him a hand yesterday at the Washington thing. I mean, you imagine this? Who's he shaking with? The air?
I mean,
Anyways,
it would be funny if it wasn't sad, and because
no, it's very sad because
Putin and Z and North Korea and everyone else is watching this too.
anyways, this is just on days went by, vicious circle of my options operation started to look like this. I bought at the top. Okay. As soon as I bought at the top, the stock started to drop. I became frightened and sold at the bottom. And as I sold, that stock started to rise and I became greedy and bought at the top. Again, does that sound familiar? Look, at all I'm saying to you is selection process and the discipline to not be overactive. Again, our portfolio models, they are what they are. We have a position we can't decide because we don't know when but when you're day trading, you are making a conscious decision to either trade or not to trade. And I'm telling you right now that when I was on the trading floor, I was on the golf course on days like this. I'd be in for the open. And if there was no action, I'd just say, okay, goodbye. And I'd be off to the golf course. And that was before cell phones. I couldn't trade from the phone. I don't care. Again, I'm never going to miss a good move over the long term. Okay. What happens in day to day, I don't need to be involved. I don't need to expose risk. And I think this is a mistake that too many of you make. You think that you got to trade when you're in front of the machine. Turn the damn thing off. You won't have to worry about it. Okay. In the meantime, to our service members, as always, we thank you. Look, again, I can never thank you enough. And unfortunately, I think many of you will be called to duty again, which is even sadder. Okay. But, public servants, police, fire, military, God bless you guys. Thank you. As always, we appreciate it. And Janet Yellen warned on China and on Russia and creating a bipolar global financial system. Is she nuts? Tell me something, Andy. Is this woman nuts?
She is nuts.
I mean,
that handshake on February 4th sealed the deal. Right?
Right. I mean, is she, look, I know she's very highly educated and very intelligent from a book smart, but is she not a moron when it comes to understanding how a market works?
Is a 4'8" woman, is President Xi in China afraid of 4'8" failed former central bank governor and chairman?
And president.
I mean, come on. It's ridiculous. It's a joke.
Right. Do you know that I once called her a moron on TV?
Did you?
I lost control for a minute. But anyway,
I once said it. I once wrote that she. I don't agree with anything, but I'm sure she makes a hell of a potato latke.
Biden's process claims 70% of inflation jump is Putin price hike. Now, who is he kidding? This is what really bothers me. Okay, I mean, oil was over $90 a barrel before anything happened in Russia. Okay, before.
Yeah.
In November of 2020, on this call here, you heard the words, oil is going at least to 100, if not to all-time new highs. Who could not see this? Now, how can anybody buy in to the bullshit that this is all on Russia?
70%.
How can any people buy into this?
It's ridiculous.
Okay, but there are people that buy into it. Okay, isn't that amazing?
Because there are people who they want to hear certain things, and when they hear them, it validates it.
Okay. I mean, again, look.
Yes, you're right. Oil was $90 a barrel before February 24th.
And
oil has been trending higher since April 2020. The seeds come from central bank liquidity and government stimulus. The turbocharge pouring gasoline on the inflationary fire was cutting off U.S. production. That, if we want to be honest, that's what it is.
Right. And now, not to add, to make matters worse for farmers, top U.S. fertilizer producer hit with rail delays to Midwest. Okay. So not only do we have a shortage, we can't get what we got.
That's right, because it's Russia's fault, 70%.
Yeah, well, everything is Russia's fault.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I had to defend this administration on TV in Moscow, but I look. Again, is this Russia's fault too that the rail can't get there? That we have no supply chain, we have nobody working, we have stagflation coming? Okay, I mean, really, the fight to protect consumers against bad investment advice is advancing, but slowly. I got to tell you something. Okay, as far as I'm concerned, the SEC and FINRA are both garbage organizations that have no interest on how you do. They're only defending the big capital of the brokers and the banks behind them. Okay, that's my opinion. If you want to disagree, feel free to. But the rules that are in place are not there to benefit you, the investor. Okay, they're there to benefit the brokers and the banks behind them. What do you say?
Yeah, I agree with you. The problem is that they are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. You know, one of my biggest issues with the CFTC is that with all the fines and all the cash they have, things like commitment of traders reports and things like that should be real time. You want to increase transparency? That's what you need to do. But that's not in the interest of Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley and the big trading houses. They don't want to see that. Right. So that's just that's one example of other things that you're saying. And then, you know, my mailbox fills up every day with total BS from people who are claiming that they're going to turn my $500 into $50,000 in 3 months.
Retire today on $1,000.
Right. No, I'm sorry. Where are the regulators? They're not. They're sleeping. They're serving self-interest.
They're waiting for the bag man to show up with the cash.
Right.
Anyways, so to me, bunk. And as long as there's any market, as long as there's money, as long as we're active, there'll be the next scam will be right up. And just like Bernie Madoff, and again, I'll bet any amount of money. I can never prove it, so it can never be proved. But there was somebody on the inside of the SEC that was involved with Bernie Madoff, and for whatever reason, it never came out.
He was the chairman of the Nasdaq. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, so
come on.
In the meantime, the words of wisdom from our friend Connie. Smart people learn from everything and everyone. Average people from their experiences. Stupid people already have all the answers.
I like that.
Connie, you've done it again, my darling.
Okay. 70%.
Yeah, right. And some people don't believe this shit too. And the State of the Union, she has two. Okay. The first one's Ilhan Omar. Need I say more? Okay. Now, I don't know if any, I don't read too much news, but I heard a little bit, so I looked it up a little bit. If I mean, anybody who can respect that piece of crap, okay, after the things she's done and what she talked about, and I guess on a plane with them, singing hymns for Easter or whatever. I mean, are you kidding me? Really? This is what we come down to? And of course, the student loan debt. You took a loan, pay it back, right? I mean, that's the school I came from. I think you went to that same school, didn't you?
I did, and I saved a lot of money and spent a lot of money to educate my children.
But even
they didn't have to take loans, and now I feel like a schmuck because I wish they would have taken loans.
Me too, and I'm closer. I just finished mine 5 years ago, I guess. But anyways, and of course, my bitch. We kind of led to it all day, but why drain the SPR when we have a 200-year supply of oil here now? At current usage, there's over 200 years worth of oil easily gotten, okay, without digging too deeply. So why are we draining the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, which is basically in place?
Can I answer that?
Yeah, you can.
Because it's easy and it's symbolic and it's the stupid way out.
And let me ask you a question. Okay, so since you answered, let me ask you this question. You've seen this done a number of times over the history of your life.
I mean, at least 10 times.
And how many times has it worked?
History. What did Einstein say? Insanity is defined as doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting a different result.
Right.
So every single time I've seen administration turn to the SPR, the price has gone up. Andy Hall, my boss, every time there was an SPR release, he'd go wild buying crude oil. There's no reason. And by the way, we're at 107 now. It's usually a delayed reaction because they get a couple of days where it falls down. It'll go up. It'll go up. It happens.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, okay, look, it's a dumb thing to do. The SPR is basically for war times and for super emergencies. And when you have a 200-year supply of oil, you should not be draining your strategic.
That's right. And it's you know what the real reason is? To put fuel in tanks and stuff if we have to defend our homeland. This is what this SPR is for. Right. It is for strategic purposes, not to get the price down for consumers. It's not.
So look, again, we can talk about all the time. It's not going to change. until it does. Now, hopefully, there's supposed to be a bill coming to the
70%.
floor that can never get there because they're not going to change it. So
70%. And I think they told him he has a 70% approval rating too.
yeah, I think it was an all-time low if I remember correctly. But anyways, as we look at the Dow through the Dow futures, because there's not too much liquidity anywhere right now, but again, in the Dow, we are still long. Okay. And basically is the strongest of the bunch. It's, I'd say 34,000, 34.2 to 34.8. Okay. I would think it's going to break lower. I mean, this is set up for a much bigger break lower.
It ain't a pretty pattern there.
No.
Yeah.
No. So, 34 to 34.8 and the S&P, which we're still long as well. Now, interesting enough, we did switch the SPY today. And I would assume if we would have had a down move today, it probably would have switched here as well. But in the meantime, the S&P, we're still long it. Okay. But again, to me, this pattern looks ugly. Everything looks ugly about it. Okay. And I would look at this as 4,400 resistance now, and probably 4,350 is the next support. And I think we'll be short before you know it.
Yeah.
Okay. And of course, the Nasdaq. Okay,
maybe the most bearish thing is that they're not spiking lower.
Right. And I think I think this goes back to, I think they're kind of holding it up a little bit and letting.
Yeah, they're building cause.
They're slowly selling when they get opportunities, but they don't want to spook the market yet, and create, because that would cost them a fortune. It would cost Goldman a fortune if they spook the market here.
Mm-hmm.
The Nasdaq, which we are short, okay, and has gone obviously nicely lower and continues to work its way down. I think 13,750 to 14,000. Okay, again, I'd be a happy seller at 14,000.
You ain't gonna be a buyer of this.
I'm a buyer nowhere right now. I mean, my expectations is we're going to test 13,000. Okay, and the next move down. Now, hopefully, it won't be on a straight move down. It'll be like it is now. Gradually, look, when you're trading in a trending model and a trending system, you don't want big spike moves. You want the markets to move in your direction at a good pace, because that builds more momentum. Did you ever notice in baseball, okay, team's got a rally going and a guy hits a home run and the rally's over because they got to re-get people on the bases again, versus when you keep the line moving, as they say, it builds a lot more momentum, and it creates, it creates a lot more energy to the players. Well, this is the same.
Right. That's right. Base hit. That builds
the pressure on, and that's when you get the big move, the pressure's off. It's over.
Right. It also keeps the real pressure on the pitchers.
Right. Yeah. 13,750 to 14,000, and of course the Russell, which we're also short. This has been tormenting forever, but it's stuck in another range. Look, 2040, which was, I said last week, 1960. That has not changed. Okay. Now, overall, at some point, this should break. And again, this pattern suggests a much bigger break. And again, I can only see it to the downside right now. It doesn't mean they can't change my mind eventually, but right now, I would say I'd be a big seller at 2040, and I wouldn't even think of looking at anything here until it got to probably the lows of 1880. Okay, and I'm not getting long there either, but I mean, I would certainly expect to see that. Okay, so 1880. I mean, today we're 1960 to 2040, but overall, I'm expecting to see, again, I'm looking for a test of the lows made, not that long ago. Okay, and the VIX. Now this was a kind of a tip off today. We saw some pretty wild action. Again, it's hard to get excited about a market that's got no volume. It's hard to get excited about a market that's got nothing going on. But the VIX itself was lower when the markets were lower, which indicated that the markets were probably going to rally, and they did. Now, they made a lot of attempts and a lot of failures, but at the end, they did close up higher. Look, this is just, I think, as you and I have determined, I think that this has just found a new 10, which is now 20.
Right. Yeah. And it's when the markets are lackluster, and even if they're going down a little bit and they're lackluster trading, the the demand for options doesn't spike up, so the VIX tends to react that way.
Right. And it's interesting this week, there was I write something for Trade here, and the number one strategy in markets is always call buying. Okay. But again, that doesn't mean that they're long, they're getting bullish. Call buying has a lot of different things you can do with calls. Okay. But the next four were all bearish strategies. We're puts, put spreads, selling calls, and selling call spreads. So we'll see. Again, I don't predict, but certainly it looks like 20 is going to hold. And certainly it wouldn't be a surprise if we saw 28 or 30 by next week we got here. In the meantime, Apple, Alpha Papa Lima, okay, which we are now short. Okay. And look, again, 170, okay, 160. Okay. And again, certainly if it gets through 160, it's probably going to, like, I'm looking for most things that get into a downtrend to at worst test the levels of support of that major sell-off we witnessed, I don't know, what, about 6 weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm looking for at least a test of those lows. Now I'm looking for them to go through them. But again, I don't want to see a one-day wonder. I want to see a gradual continue. But in the meantime, for today, 160 to 170. We're dead nuts in the middle.
You want to see a lot of base hits on a short side.
Right. If I don't want to see them, I'd rather see tomorrow it get to 163 than to 160. I'd rather see it go 163, 161, 159, and dribble down.
And the bond markets, the trend in the bond markets, the perfect example of how that works.
100%. That is always my go-to chart, because that's what I expect to see in the stock market.
Right.
Okay, is this action? This is exactly what we're talking about. Okay, that's what I want to see. I want to see a nice, steady, solid trend. Okay. Anyways, AG, Alpha Golf. Now, this ETF did not perform as well today as others did, but look, we're long this. B, we own it for one reason. It's to be on the long side when it is long, because on the short side, you don't get hurt too bad if it goes against you. But again, this could explode. Okay, if silver explodes. Now, again, it was higher. It was at 1450, which was our resistance from last week. Okay, closed at 1389. Okay, now again, am I worried about it? No, I think you're probably, certainly I'd be a buyer at 1350. Okay, if I were going to trade it. I mean, I do own it, but if I were going to look as a trader, and I think 1450 was a logical resistance. We called it last week. So again, I'm not giving you after the fact data. I gave it to you in live time last week. Okay. For now, I think 1350 to 1450.
Right. This thing has been outperforming silver for a while. So the fact that it kind of caught up a little, evened out today, makes some sense.
And Captain, I never miss, big boy. I believe me, I can still see what's going on. I do. There are other means of communication these days. In the meantime, AMD, Alpha Michael Delta, which we are short as well. And again, I warned you when it got through 100, it was going to test 90. Okay. Now again, 90 is still a level to watch, but this is actually trending very nicely now. It didn't get too crazy. It's just kind of starting its own little downtrend. To me, I'd be a seller all day long at 100. Okay, I might even look at 95. Okay, but in the meantime, 100 and right now 90. But I wouldn't be a buyer at 90. I'd like to be a seller of a rally off of 90 if that indeed does happen. But 90 to 100. And Bravo Alpha. Well, here you go. Charlie Munger. We didn't get his disclosure, but we're short. And this is after peaking, right? After having a wild straight up move from 70 to 120, which again, that's a tip off on its own, a stock to go up that much, especially under the current times, right? And then it's a natural that it's falling back now. Now, again,
you did get your thing. He retired.
Yeah. And it's trending perfectly. See here, we exploded, consolidated, and now are building the perfect downtrend. I don't want to see it go to 170 yet. I want to see it go to 70 3 weeks from now. Okay. I want to see it go to 90, kind of flip around, go to 88. Again, this is when you're trend trading, that's the kind of market you want to see. You don't want the markets to move too fast because you don't get the same benefit over a slower moving market that is going in your direction. Okay. It's very simple. Those big spike moves, you want them to come at the end when you're ready to get out. Okay. In the meantime, 90 to 100. That wasn't that AMD. 90 to 100. Bido. Bravo, India, Tango, Oscar. Now, again, we have not made a trade here yet. At least I have not officially made a trade here yet. This is a direct correlation to Bitcoin. This is actually correlating to futures, but because they have not developed in Bitcoin yet, the back month trading, okay, you can see there's no action. Okay, so we can't get a feel yet for the true backwardation in contango. So it's harder. Now, again, if you want to own Bitcoin, this is a way to play it. And somebody asked me a question, and they asked me to, yes, I own Bitcoin. I don't have it in a cold wallet. I actually own it at Coinbase. Okay. I never took the effort to move it to a cold wallet. I own some Ethereum. I own a bunch of crap too, right? I took a lot of shots that I wanted to do on Bitcoin when it was under $1, but my friend talked me out of it. But hey, that's a story for another day. But in the meantime, if you want to own Bitcoin, this is a way to do so. Okay. I mean, again, it's a way to do it in the public markets, in the publicly traded markets. But remember, this only trades from at 9:30 to like 4 o'clock, or whatever the after hours are. But so you don't get the same advantage of 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. In the meantime,
right, and it's also tied to futures and not the physical.
Right, 24, 26 would be my level, sir. This is the question you ask yourself here: do I want to buy Bitcoin? But I don't want to get by the wall. I don't want to get involved with the 47 word character password and all the other BS. This is a way to try to play it. Okay, this is free market, open. There's whatever happens. In 24 to 26 in the meantime.
And what you got to do with these things is you gotta look worst case always, and you have to assess the risk. And the risk on this is that it's tied to the future, and the government could turn off the future, but I don't think the government could turn off the physical, So right. There is a risk there.
Right, but they did approve it, and they are bringing in more products.
Yeah, right, I agree. But if the thing goes out of control and all of a sudden,
risk.
Right.
And then BitQ, which is Bitcoin Soup. Look, I own this, and it's at the bottom end of consolidation. This is an ETF, as Andy calls it, Bitcoin Soup. It's got Mara, it's got Riot. It's got about 50 different Bitcoin products in it. Okay, that are mining type. Look, again, same thing. If you want to play the Bitcoin, this is just another way that you can attempt to play it. I own some of this.
In it. It's got a lot of stuff in it.
I mean, it was up at 30 or 30, whatever it was.
Yeah. 36,
and now it's been cut. It's been cut by 70%. In the meantime, $14 should be some support, and it's actually it's almost 14, 15. That's how narrow the markets are.
Yeah. Okay. And Bitcoin was 70,000, and now it's 40,000. So
right.
It's going to go with it.
Chewy. Charlie Hotel Whiskey Yankee, which we are also short. And again, look at this. Again, it went right up to our top at 46, which we said last week, and it came through our bottom. Okay, and we're still short. And again, this is as much as Andy and I like this company, this is a great pattern if you're short.
Yeah.
Okay. And certainly 42 is now a resistance. I think that you look at 42, and I think you're going to see 36. Now, if it breaks through 36, God knows where it's going, but that's the next key spot to watch. So for now, 36 to 42. Coin, now we're short coin, so that's a good sign. Good news. This is really getting ugly. Are you getting nervous yet?
No.
There you go. Right? There's the answer. No,
because it's Bitcoin. Because you know what? If you get nervous from the volatility in Bitcoin, shouldn't be in it.
Right. No, I'm with you.
You should never invest more. You have to always know.
This is identical. By the way, if you divide this, okay, it's the identical move to BitQ. Okay. Right. 360 to 140, right. 36 to 14.
So the point here, Bubba, is the following with this Coinbase and with all these things. You only invest money you're willing to lose in these things because the potential is for a total loss. And risk is a function of reward, and the rewards can be great, but you got to be prepared, So
listen,
don't get nervous with this stuff. It is what it is.
And when you leverage things, okay, your risk does not come on the way you put the leverage on. It comes on the amount you are leveraging. In the meantime, 140 will probably be some support. Okay, but right now this is actually obviously from a trending perspective, perfect. Okay, a little bit at a time. Okay, and 140. This every day is a new all-time low right now. Okay, now it's relatively new, but I would say 140 to 160. But it looks like it wants to go even lower than that.
Yeah, I mean, this is a falling knife, no question.
Yep.
Speaking of falling knives,
This is getting. They're pushing my limit again at 15, where I'm going to stop buying it. Okay, you're welcome. Okay, it'll be recorded. It'll be sent out later. Again, I think that DraftKings. Look, there's one hope left. I think, as far as you and I are both concerned, and that's a takeover.
right?
Okay,
That's about it.
now, it's interesting, because of their acquisition costs, but we are short this, number one, and I own it again. But basically, right now it's 15 to 18. But if it goes below 15, I'm going to stop accumulating myself. I hedge it and buy it. I'm going to stop. I'm going to keep the stock, but I'm not going to continue to add to it. There's a problem. The difference is this has now become, from not only a technical problem, this has become a fundamental problem. I did not realize, and I will honestly tell you, the acquisition cost was so high that their business just doesn't make enough money to overcome that, and they're going to have to be bought out. That's the only way they're going to survive, I believe. Okay. In the meantime, 15 to 18, and we are short. Facebook, Foxtrot, Bravo, which we are short now. Okay. Look, this is again trending very nicely. It's kind of in a consolidation, trending lower. I would suspect that 200 is the next support. I would suspect 220 is the resistance. I think they have earnings any day now, I believe, or maybe it's next week. Okay, let me just look real quick. Facebook. Earnings are
April 28th.
27th. Yeah, after the close of 27th. So again, look, anything goes here, but this certainly has been a big weight, and it has not really recovered. In fact, it's gotten worse from the last earnings. Okay, the last earnings is when it collapsed. Okay, and it has made no attempt to make any move soon. Now, again, could it be different? Sure. I can't predict the future. In the meantime, 200 to 220. First Solar, which also has earnings coming soon. Look, at the end of the day, we're short First Solar. It's in consolidation. It doesn't look awful. It doesn't look great. It looks like, it looks kind of like copper.
Yeah.
In the meantime, it's 75 to 80. It's got earnings in the next week or two as well. Okay. So again, remember, earnings change the dynamics of any trade because volatility explodes for that period of earnings, implied volatility. And the earnings, what they report is not necessarily what the markets are going to react to. The markets are already pricing something in well ahead of the time. Okay. Anyway, 75 to 80, and we are short. GDX, look at this. As you said earlier, broke above 40. Okay. And again, this has been about as steady as an uptrend. Now think about it. 36 to 40 doesn't sound like a lot, but it is, after all, about a 12% move. I mean, you give me 12% in a month. Okay, I'll take that. Will you take 12% a month?
Absolutely.
Okay. I mean, look, we're long. Okay. I don't see
Compounded.
I don't see anything to believe that this is coming down. Now, I'm sure there'll be some sell-off. I mean, again, if you want to get real technical about this, okay, the move up the last few days has been a little bit too steep for the basic pattern itself, but not much. But again, a pullback to 40 would not be any shock whatsoever. Okay. Again, I think 40 support and, 42 is the next level I'd be watching. Again, I'm not going to sell it up there, but that's what I'd be watching, 40 to 42. And we are long. Goldman, Gulf Sierra. Oh, geez, it can rally. It can bounce. Okay. But we're still short this. Again, I'd expect to see, a pullback to, again, 310 like the others. I'm looking for markets to test some lows. Certainly to me, 340 is still the resistance and 310 is the support, and then 300. Again, I think if it goes through 300, it could be, again, there's certain key numbers when they start to trade that can be very problematic to the psyche of people that own it. But right now, 310 to 340.
You gotta love their ability to make money, though.
Oh boy, they make nothing but money. And I'm telling you, in my opinion, they and the others are controlling and waiting and they're selling very little now. I mean, they're selling enough, but they're really waiting to take a big short position, but they need more action in the market. They need a bigger rally to get sell into, but I think they're trying to sell. That's my opinion. Again, am I right? I don't know. IWM, India Whiskey Michael, which we are short. Look, this is, again, painful. I mean, it's only painful because it's not going anywhere. And now this is not a good pattern. Okay. Like, we don't want to see too fast. We don't want to see flat. We don't want to see a patient on a gurney. This is their heart rate. Okay. This is dead. Now, again, I expect to see 192. I think we're probably watching 192 to 200 as the levels to watch. Okay. Again, this does not look very good, but it doesn't look as bad as others either. It's kind of in the, and that indeed is the pattern itself. Congestion is a coin flip. Okay. Mara, Michael Alpha, Romeo Alpha. Well, again, we are still short this, and $20 seems to be solid support. Now, one of my key peeps that watches that trade this every day said they expect to go back under 10. Now, I don't, again, I love the analysis and I respect the opinion, but I can't project it. Right now, I can project we're in a downtrend, and if it breaks through 20, it's going lower. Significant.
I will say with Mara and Riot, these energy costs have to be killing them.
You think?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's amazing.
Have to be killing them. So no matter what happens with the other thing, this is just, and I'm sure that they've slowed their operations down dramatically because you just can't operate. I mean, it'll kill them.
Right. No, I agree with that. Again, I agree with that 100%. So, meantime, for today, it's 20 to 25 still. That's what it was last week. That's what it is still today. Okay. Neo, November, India, Oscar, which we're short as well. And look, again, I didn't like it when we were long last week. I think that this has got lots of room to go on the downside. Again, this is one in my mind. And I listen, I don't make these kind of predictions, but it would not shock me if it went to zero. Okay? It would not shock me if it pulled. Anybody remembers Lucan Coffee, okay, it would not shock me if it pulled a Lucan Coffee. Okay, obviously, there's a lot of issues in many of these, anyways. So we'll see overall. But right now, for today, 18 to 20, we're short. Nougat, November Uniform Golf Tango, but this is up about $3 at one time today. Okay. What was it, up to 80?
This is GDX on steroids.
Yeah. This is one you cannot hold for more than 10 days.
Right.
Obviously, you can hold it if it keeps going in your favor, but the minute it stops, that's when you have to trigger.
This is like musical chairs when you were a kid.
But the trend is spectacular.
Right. When the music stops, you're going to get killed.
Right. I mean, the trend is spectacular. And again, I would suggest that maybe it got a little bit too steep. Again, remember, about a 45-degree angle is a perfect trend. Okay. But throughout that trend, you get many moves. You hear them talk about moving averages all the time on TV, or maybe you're a moving average trader. Again, it's more often than not, you'll always have some mean reversion. Okay. And then all I'm saying here is that when you get a move that leaves the trend line by so far, some natural reversion is expected, not maybe. And of course, it can get there in a couple of ways. It can either consolidate, okay, until the trend itself catches up, or it can pull back to the mean and then move again. In the meantime, for us, we are long this, okay? And for now, I would say 75 to 85. But again, obviously, I'm not selling it at 85, but 75 to 85. Okay. NVIDIA, November Victor Delta Alpha. Okay, well, we're short. It did have a nice little pop today, but we're still short. Okay, look, it's right on the bottom. It's on the bottom. Okay, it's on the bottom end. I would say I could make a case now, 210 to 230. Okay, and again, if this goes through 200, I mean, it could go to 150 in a heartbeat. Okay, these are very volatile stocks. What's going on in the chip world, sir?
Not a hell of a lot. I mean, there's a lot of concern over Taiwan Semiconductor, which owns, I don't know, 50 some odd percent
right.
of chips. And that's going to be there. That's a geopolitical factor. So, that's going to hang over this market for a while. But, we still have supply chain issues. We still have all kinds of problems, and we have war. So, it's just tough.
God forbid we should do them here.
Tough business. By the way, I was at an automobile dealer over the last week, and it's very interesting because the few new cars that they're getting in, they do not have, and this was Mercedes, they don't have, I was talking to the service manager and the sales manager, they do not have the extras, like, because they can't get the chips for the extras. So a lot of the new models don't have them. And that's telling me that things are still very rough.
Yeah, it's true. 210 to 230. And Penn, Papa Echo, November. Almost identical to DraftKings, just at a higher price. In the first, we're still short this. This looks to me 36 to 40 or so. Again, this was at 150 at one time. And again, it got overconsumed by Dave Portnoy, Barstool. No, it got overconsumed by too much acquisition costs to get these people to come in. Okay. They are good for the horse racing industry, which whatever little is left of it. But overall, I think they're in the exact same position as Bitcoin, and they're going to have to be bought out because they're, again, when your maximum profit is basically 5% of what you're handling, it's hard to overcome your acquisition costs of probably, I don't know, $50 a person.
Yeah, and this one's interesting to me right now because you do have the Derby and the Preakness and the Belmont coming up, so maybe you might get a little pop in this one.
Again, you could, but I don't think those events really have anything to do with this. Again, I think
this is the one stock that I think has some could have some correlation with horse racing.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
In the meantime, 36 to 40. And the Qs, Quebec, which were short. Here we are. We're right on the verge, right? And today, earlier, they were down below, and they came all the way back to close right at, right? We don't use a scalpel to the exact number. We came right back and closed right on the dime, basically. I mean, to me, I'm looking at this. The first real support for me is 330. Okay, and I can see 320, which would be testing the lows. I think the trend is, I think this sideways action is perfect based on how fast it came down originally. Because you're going to remember, we drew this in. It's too fast. It's probably going to consolidate. Look what we got. So now it probably could consolidate a little bit longer before it actually does break. Okay. In the meantime, 330 to 350, big number, but that's what I got to use. Okay. Riot.
Bubba, I'll be back in 1 sec.
Go ahead. Romeo, India, Oscar, Tango. Look, this looks awful. Okay. We don't have a position in it, but certainly it's another Bitcoin kind of play. But as Andy mentioned earlier, the expense, okay, the energy expense for these things, these miners. I mean, this looks like they're going under 10 for sure. Okay. But in the meantime, if I'm looking at it now, 14 to 18. Okay. But they look like sick dogs, and they need Bitcoin bad, in a bad way, to make them go higher. And Roku, Romeo, Oscar, Kilo, Uniform, okay, which we're short. Look, we're coming to that spot again, that $100. Okay, now support will probably be at 100 again. The real key is, what does it do at 100? Okay, if it goes below, it certainly go back to $50 or $60. Okay, if it stays, then it can actually take out the top of 140. But overall, this was $500. It's now 100. Okay. So look, 120 is resistance, 100 is support, and if it breaks through 100, I think it accelerates to the downside. Sierra, Quebec. Okay. And we're short this as well. And here we are, right again. Last week we said 120 to 130, 140. And look at this. We're right at that, 119 with 39 is the same as 120.
They did come out with their crypto wallet. Did you see it?
No, I did not.
It's in the form of a rock.
Really?
Yeah, it's in a rock within a UBS. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting. Listen, it's a physical hard wallet that you plug in USB cable, and it's a rock.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Okay,
so I guess it's a rock or a block or a bit of a both.
Blockhead. Anyways, 130 resistance, 120 is, again, we're below it right now, but again, this is, within a few percentage points. I would say 110 is the next key spot to watch. 110 to 130. The SPY, Sierra Papa Yankee, again, too fast down, consolidating, not a surprise. Okay, now this has less to go, and this certainly could go later. And we just reversed this to short today. Okay, so it's not like we were short from way above. Okay, we were actually long until, and then it flushed. So again, but right now, for my money, 445, I would sell, as I used to say I used to say on the trading floor, I will sell till my hands bleed. Okay, because you use hand signals, right? And I think 430 is the next step. Okay, but I think there's a hell of a chance this gets to 410, and I think it's going lower than that. But right now, 430 is what I'd be watching if it breaks through this level here, and I think 445 to 430. Okay. Tilray, which we don't cover, but I'll just show it again. Once again, ran up on false bullshit, and once again, it has failed, and it's going. It looks like they're all going to zero again.
Yeah, Altria. Altria standing there with a net at 10 cents.
Right. Well, yeah, because they got the president waiting for them.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, Hunter's on the payroll. In the meantime,
doesn't he have a special Altria board seat?
Yeah, probably. You know, at $1 million a year. In the meantime,
with like a fishing pole for 10 cents on Tilray.
TQQQ, which we no longer carry in our portfolios, but we still cover it here. It's all it is a Q's on steroids, and the same thing. It consolidated, and now you're looking at probably 44.45 to 52. Look, I would be a seller. Okay, this is again the Q's on triple or double steroids, whichever one it is. Okay, so it'd be 44 to 52. Tesla went up to 1160 as we thought, and here it is back, churning away between 960 and 1040. Okay, I don't trade this anymore. They have earnings this week, I guess, huh? Tomorrow, is that right?
I will say one thing.
Wednesday. They get earnings Wednesday. So
I will say one thing, just from kind of tooling around and keeping my eyes open. I mean, there are so many Teslas.
Yeah. Oh, in Vegas.
Oh my
Every
God.
other car. That's
not just
the state's car.
My friends in New York tell me Tesla's everywhere. He's knocking the ball off the cover. There's no question.
And I love the car. I wish they had a good looking SUV.
Have you ever driven one?
I've been in them. I've never driven one myself.
Because
you don't have to drive. You don't have to drive them anymore either.
They are so fast.
Unbelievable. Get sick. It's like going on a carnival ride. In the meantime, there's really not much I can say, Eric, because earnings are coming out and this thing could move. Well, here, let's just see what's pricing in. Okay, this will tell us what the markets expect.
I would say $150.
No, that would not surprise me whatsoever.
That's what my gut tells me, but we'll see. I might be a little.
I would agree with that. It's expecting actually only $68 move.
Wow.
Okay. Interesting enough, but again, that's 6%. I think that's a little light, but we'll see.
I think that's light too.
I agree. Listen, this guy, first of all, it's a great company from the car standpoint. The operator, there's no better operator in the world, I don't think. Okay. So anyways, in the meantime, 960 to 1040. But if you're going to try, I don't trade this anymore. That's full disclosure. But I would not be jumping in ahead of this either way. Okay. I would wait till after the earnings. And if it was a bigger than $70 move one way or the other, I'd take the other side. Okay. In the meantime, the VXX, we no longer trade. Again, once they start with these news items, I don't get involved. When Whiskey Yankee, November, which we're short, it's sad, but of course, obviously they're very much tied to China. I really thought they're going to be maybe a player for DraftKings, but I think they got troubles of their own right now. I think that's something that worth watching. And again, I think overall it's going to be a great company. If I was looking, and I do own it in my retirement account, and I would certainly not be afraid to buy it there and hedge it. But from a trading standpoint, it looks like it could test 66. Okay, I think that you got to look at probably 78 as the resistance, but 75 first, and support. The key support is going to be 70. Okay.
Janet Yellen is warning China.
Yeah, Janet Yellen. UBI, XBI, X-ray Bravo India. Again, we said when this got to 94, 96, look out. And sure enough, here we go. And I don't trade this anymore either, but to me, awful. 82 is a level, but this is pretty ugly. Now, again, it could certainly, a lot can happen here. Okay, here, let me just clean this up for 1 second. Okay, let me just remove drawings. Okay, let's just start over here real quick. All right, so if we look at this in a broad picture, basically you've got a 96 top, and basically about an 82 bottom. Okay, in that neighborhood. And basically, we just turn in between here. So logic tells us that we probably should get a bounce off of this. It's going to stay in here. If, again, the key is if it does break to the downside, then it should be probably pretty severe. Okay, it doesn't mean it has to break to the downside, but if it does, the break should be pretty severe. But for today, 82 to 90. Okay, and Zoom, which we no longer trade, but I'm sure it'd be short here. In the meantime, look, this is ugly, and it's now once again, after popping a little bit, approaching that key $100 level. And just like in Roku, I think that just gets through it and stays below 100. Duck. I think it's going a lot lower than that if it gets through it. Now, it doesn't have to get through there, but that's something that I would be looking at. Okay, I'm a V8 guy. Yeah, I understand, but I'll take my Tesla. I'll take your heads on, big boy. I don't have a Tesla, but in the meantime, 100 to 120 in Zoom. BKNG, Bravo, Kilo, November, Golf. Bravo, what the hell is that? Bravo, Kilo, November, Golf. Booking Holdings, $2,200 share. Dead nuts consolidation. It looks like a lot of other charts we've been looking at. It's basically stuck 2,100 to 2,400. I don't know. I don't trade this, so I to me, again, a big move is coming. The direction is all that's left in question. Okay. If you have any other quick ones, I'll be happy to answer.
Twitter. She's asking for
Twitter. Oh, Twitter. I looked at it, but I'll look for you, my darling, my attorney. I'll look at anything. I might need a securities lawyer after I bash the SEC. Again, this should be a done already. This should be a done deal, but of course it's not. From here, looking at this chart, 44 to 54 is kind of what you're watching. It looks like there's going to be some resistance unless this deal goes through at about 50. Okay. I don't trade it. I haven't traded it for years. I don't own it. I have nothing to do with it. In fact, I don't really tweet much. People, somebody tweets some stuff for me and they retweet it, but I don't get involved.
To me, this is a trading sardine.
100 to 120, my dear.
To me, this is a trading sardine now. You got to be cautious with this. You got to expect the unexpected, because with Musk, you always expect the unexpected. Right. I'm sure that he has some of his buddies, probably Peter Thiel, in this with him, and it's more ideological than making money for him. So I think there could be a lot of volatility in this stock.
I don't disagree with that. Tango Yankee Victor. That's an invalid symbol. Okay, so I can't give you help there. Tango Yankee Victor, that's Giroux. Maybe it's different. And if this is a penny stock, I'm going to blow a gasket.
Netflix.
KI.Toronto. Okay, I'm going to blow a gasket if this is.
You're going to blow it. You're going to blow a gasket.
Oh, I don't even have a symbol on it. Wait, hold on. Let's see. Let's see if I take off the TO, because I don't think that they use TO. $160.
All right.
Perkin Elmer. I mean, it doesn't look very good right now. It's kind of consistent with the rest of the market. It's kind of consolidating, kind of heading lower. I think this 160 is key. It looks like it's breaking down. I mean, I would, if I owned it, I'd be hedged it if it could be hedged. And if I didn't own it, I wouldn't be buying it here. I'd be more likely to look for a rally back to 170 to sell it than I would be a buyer. And I don't trade it, and I never have. Okay. However, that would be something. But somebody had sent me today all these penny stocks that they wanted to hedge us. You can't hedge penny stocks. Those are lottery tickets. They have nothing to do with the price of gold. Okay. Most of them are going to end up broke. Okay. And I get enough sheets, and you do too, of companies, penny stocks that went to zero.
Lots of NAs.
Yeah. LYV. Okay. That I can look at. I think I recognize that symbol. Lima, Yankee, Victor. Live Nation. Oh, this is that news channel. Is that what this is? Free market news or whatever it is there. Didn't they file bankruptcy?
Concerts, isn't it? It's concerts.
In the meantime, this looks like in better consolidation than others, because this is actually coming off of an uptrend. Okay. Look, I don't trade this. I don't have much of a clue what they do, but not that I care. But if I were looking at this chart, I would say that 106 or so could be some support. But it's in such a narrow range. I would rather wait until it commits to a direction before trading. Okay. But if you own it, it looks okay. Okay. LNG, that's your baby.
Shittier
LNG,
energy.
liquefied natural gas.
Yep.
This looks great, but why
Yeah,
wouldn't
I
it?
mean, this is a beast, and that market's only growing.
I remember when I traded it, it was $35.
This market's only growing. It's only going to grow to the extent that the U.S. allows more of these plants
Thanks,
and
honey.
more fracking. But this company has a virtual monopoly on this.
Yeah, no, it's unbelievable. I mean, it has been unbelievable since it actually.
Someone was asking for Netflix into earnings.
Netflix at earnings, so I can't say much about that. Netflix, they got earnings today.
What the range is, right?
Earnings today. Earnings today.
I think they have
November Fox. I can't even type. How's that? November Foxtrot Lima X-ray. Were there earnings today? I think they might have been, or are they tomorrow? No, I got to go to my other source.
Yeah, we'll see what the
FLX. I know they're coming up. I know they're today or tomorrow. They are tomorrow after the close. Okay, and they are expecting a move of $36, which is about 10%. Okay,
sounds about right for that stock.
So again, look, can I give you look? It looks awful from a sheer looking at the chart. It looks awful. Okay, and this is going to me, a lot of these stocks. Listen, Netflix has been a monster for 10 years, 12 years. Okay, but to me, a lot of these stocks are going to revert back as more things happen as they get the virus more under control. A lot of these virus stocks. Now, this was not necessarily one of them, but certainly the watching TV is going to lessen. Okay, and the competition. There's a big competition going on for those monthly dollars.
Yeah, what I was going to say, Bubba, is when people fill up their gas tanks and they say, "Oh, I got to trim back somewhere else," something like Netflix could be the first to go.
I agree.
Along with the steak, right?
I don't disagree. Listen, you got so many people competing, between you got Disney, you got Netflix, you got Hulu, you got, name them down the line. And the actual best deal in town is Amazon Prime.
Right.
Because again, most of the stuff is free. Now they have some that they premium items. Is a double diagonal. I'm going to look this up real quick and this will be it. Twitter, is a double diagonal feasible there? Hold on. Let's see what the volatilities are. No. I mean, you could look. I'm not a big fan of gigantic volatility. Okay, you're trading at the expectation of movement is like 10% every day. Okay, it's hard.
The board of Twitter is scrambling to find someone to put a better bid in than Musk because that's their real only out long term.
It could be great, but I think the stakes that you have to put up for. Let's say if you went to June to May. Okay, here, I'll just create it real quick and then I'll kiss you all goodbye. Let's see. I start with double diagonal. Okay, and I want to reverse it. I want to buy these. I want to buy the June 20, May 20, and I want to sell the June 22nd to start with. So I got to go farther out already. I got to go, let's say 55, let's say 55.45. I want to lean long. Okay, so if I want to sell inside of there, let's say I'll sell the 54 and sell the 46. I mean, there's probably, oh, sorry. I want to wait it. My bad once again. Okay. $8 and probably not bad. It's probably a reasonable shot. I mean, you're going to collect. Remember, you're going to collect approximately based on the current action. Okay. 220 and 340 a week. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 rolls. So it could be money automatic. It just really depends on how it trades. It certainly would not be a bad trade. Okay. I don't typically trade it, but it's not a bad trade. It's just, again, it's just not something that I usually use, but certainly it would work. Yeah, I saw as a Canadian. Again, I looked at a lot of Canadian stocks today. That's why I threatened you. In the meantime, Andy, as always, I thank you and everybody.
Thank you.
I'm going to give you the same message I give you every week. Just be careful. This is not a market for active trading yet. It will be. We will get it again. Again, this is not, markets aren't over. It's not the end of the world. This is where the ultimate patience and discipline have to kick in, because it's better off. Remember the old saying, right? Better to wish you were in a trade than to wish you were not. Have a great night, everybody. See you later. Thanks, Andy. Talk to you.
Take care.